Okay, and here is our last demonstration for our last piece, our last segment piece, which is our diamond in a square. It is by far the one with the most steps. There are 12 steps, but again, they're all very simple, very easy. I've prepped my fabric, so I was told to cut 2 squares and then subcut those squares into triangles. I've done that. And I've cut my center square. Now, the one nice thing about the diamond in a square is if I want to create different patterns, I can do 3 in one color and a 4th in another color, and that can start joining things together and modifying things. There's so much that you can do with this. This is also a really nice block if you're doing a friendship quilt and you want to do a light fabric as the center diamond, and then put your name and a date or anything like that in the center. Now, as I said, this has 12 steps to it. There are 3 full pages of step-by-step instructions, and we're going to walk through them right now. And the very first step says stitch out machine step 1 directly on your stabilizer, just like we did with our other 2. And we're going to do that also with step 2 in this one. We're going to stitch it out on the stabilizer as well, because it gives us a placement for our diamond fabric, which is our larger square piece here. Okay, there's step 1, nice and finished, so we know how big our block is going to be. Now we're going to do a step 2 stitch out directly on the stabilizer. And if you're wondering, I am demonstrating the 5-inch size today in all 3 of our segments. However, this is the exact same pattern and you follow the exact same steps, whether you're doing the 3-inch, the 4-inch, or the 5-inch. Okay, I have a little bit of a concern with my thread here. I'm going to rethread. For some reason, it's giving me a little bit of a snag. We'll rethread there, and I'm just going to take a quick look. Whenever I rethread the top for something like that, I like to look also at my bobbin thread, and I had just changed my bobbin thread between segments, and so it could be that I had not placed my bobbin in properly. So let's just redo that really quickly, just to make sure everything is right. Alrighty, so here is step 1 and step 2. And step 3 says place a fabric, I apologize. This is also part of step 2. Place a fabric, no, I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong instructions. I apologize again. This is step 3 we're on. Place a fabric A square over space 1, that's this space, and stitch machine step 3 and trim the excess on all 4 sides, remembering to leave enough fabric beyond the boundary lines at the top and the bottom and the sides. So we'll do that. So I'm going to put a little bit of my glue stick in my center. And I'm going to place, now you can place your fabric if you like on the diamond point like that, or you can place it like that. I think you get a better amount for cutting excess when you place it on the point, just like that. We'll slide this back in and we'll now do step 3. There, that looks better. And now we're going to trim this on all 4 sides, but remembering to leave fabric outside the outer boundary at the points. Okay. So let's go ahead and bring down our camera. And I'm going to start out here. And I'm going to trim this edge. And once I get beyond the boundary, I kind of See how it kind of curved off? That's going to make sure I have more than plenty of fabric beyond my point here. And I'm going to kind of do the same thing. I'm going to start way out here and then kind of come into my 1/4 inch. So I'm kind of doing this almost like a half moon when I cut this out, just because I want to make sure that I'm leaving myself plenty of fabric, because you can see when you cut your second side, you get it gets a little small there. It's going to be plenty with the other fabric over it, but I want to make sure that I'm leaving plenty there. So I start out here and I kind of cut it like a half moon shape a little bit. There we go. And you can see that here. It starts out here, comes down, and comes back out of it. Now I have one more side to cut. And I'm going to do it the exact same way. Okay. So that leaves me with plenty of fabric. Even though it's a little bit, it's going to get covered with this fabric, and that's going to leave me plenty for trimming. Now, the next step goes on to page 2 and says, step 4, place a B fabric number 2 triangle right side down on top of fabric A as seen in diagram and stitch machine step 4. And that is going to be right here. This is, whoops, this is place 2. Let me put our camera back up there a little bit and place my first piece of fabric. So just like that, my fabric B, number 2 right here, it's going to flip up into that number 2 space, just like you see in your diagram. And I don't have to do any more trimming on this now until I take it out. It's just that first square that needs a little bit of trimming. Just put a wee bit of fabric glue there. Flip my fabric. Give it a little bit of a finger press. Now, the next step is to tack number 2 down, which is exactly what we're going to do. This is step 5 and machine step 5 as well. And we are just moving counterclockwise around our diamond. So next is to do the same thing in area 3, which is right below area 2. So I'm just going to take my next fabric and place it like so. And now machine step 6. And all of this is written out and diagrammed for you in the instructions. I'll bring it here so you can see it's in the instructions step by step. But once you've done the first one, you do all the other 3 corners the exact same way. Now we're at machine step 7. And even though this one has a lot more steps, it still only takes 3 minutes to stitch it out. Okay, now we're going to place number 4 here on this edge. So we're just coming over to the bottom left part of the diamond. And we're going to do machine step 8. And I'm just going to swipe a little glue there. And flip my fabric, and now we're at machine step 9, and that is our tack down for space number 4. And we're on page 3 of the Diamond in a Square instructions. And we're almost done. We're now to space number 5 and piece number 5. Okay, we're going to place that one just like this. And this is a really good segment to also show you why we do the boundary box at the end and we don't use the beginning placement box. We'll talk about that a little bit more. when we go to trim these out. We'll hold that for trimming these out. We'll talk about that. Put my glue. I'm going to flip my, look what I did. I placed my fabric in the wrong direction. Bad me. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go back to step number 10. I'm going to remove this. I'm going to take my scissors and snip my thread right here, right where they're connected. And I'm going to snip it off and redo it because I placed my fabric going the wrong direction. I wasn't paying attention because I was talking to you guys. That happens. So remember, after your first piece of fabric, all other pieces of fabric must get placed right side down. So there we go. Now I'm right. And I'll come in here with a little bit of tape. And I'll just pull this excess out. There we go. See, even having to fix that just takes no time at all. Now I'm placing this right side down this time, and I'm back on step 10, which is the tack down, and I'm off to the races. Super simple. And yes, even I occasionally make a mistake, and I was talking with you all and put my fabric down going the wrong direction. But that was a super easy fix. Now I'm going to flip this. And we're going to stitch machine step 11. I think it might be time for me to change my needle. My needle is, do you hear that thunking a little bit when it goes up and down? That usually means it's time for a new needle. And I just finished a quilt and forgot to change it today, so probably need to do that. Now, and this one, I'm going to put tape in all 4 of my joining areas. To hold that fabric down. And so although your fabric is generous, when you look at it like this, you don't have much excess. You have plenty, but you don't have a lot of extra excess. So there is no wasting of fabric in this scenario. Now we're going to do machine step 12, and we're done with our diamond in a square. How simple was that? I'm a little concerned about that piece right there. There we go. Now, instead of using my finger, I could have used a stiletto or something to hold that down, because you just don't want your finger getting in there and by chance getting stitched. I actually, after 55 plus years of sewing and quilting, I actually stitched my finger just this past year. It was not fun at all. Alrighty, now we have our diamond in a square complete. Okay, now let's go over to my other camera and we're going to talk about how we trim these out of the stabilizer.